Thank you.
Good evening. You can see our names there. I'm Tony, this is Chris, and this is Scott. And I'll give you a more detailed introduction on our background. And I know we've been talking a little bit, but since this is, let's take advantage of the fact that this is such a small group. Let's make it a little more conversational. Introduce yourself to us, tell us not only your name, but a little bit about your background and why you're interested in learning about this, if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah, my name is Madison. So, I've lived in Florida for 20 years. Big into volleyball coaching stuff. I'm not here for myself. I'm just here to learn more about what's available. I'm with Impact 4. You guys worked with us.
Yes.
Before I went to Florida Community Foundation, and like I said, lots of sports and volleyball. So I'm just here to figure out what you guys do and hopefully spread the word.
Okay.
My name is Betsy Grinder. I just started a business 2 years ago. It is a meal delivery service, and I'm expanding into catering and charcuterie and all of that, but I just don't ever take up a chance to learn more and how I can build my business better.
Your business, your customer base is primarily here in Corey?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, I travel, so it's like a localized HelloFresh, but the meals are already prepared. I prepare them every day. And they're healthier, and I just deliver them as soon as they're prepared, right to people's homes or at their work or anything like that.
Okay. Well, again, I'm Tony Peyronel. I'm at Edinboro. I'm the executive director for entrepreneurial development. And a big part of that title is being director of our Beehive, which is the formerly known as the Center for Branding and Strategic Communication. My background is in traditional journalism and public relations, and so I kind of take a client management role. Chris Lantinen is he worked with us part-time up to this year, and this year we've been fortunate enough through the grant to convert him to full-time for the Beehive. So Chris handles all social media management. He also has done a lot of national level work in podcasting. And so I host our podcast, he produces it, and he also helps other businesses set up podcasts as promotional tools for their business or their organization. He also he's a liaison because Scott is our formally trained graphic designer. He's our creative director / art director. We started out calling him an art director because we had another colleague who was the creative director. She's since left the university. So Scott we let him use whichever of those titles he feels like that day, because he's our art director and our creative director. And he's with us part-time. He also teaches design courses in the art department. And he also is active as a freelance designer. I don't know if you're familiar with Erie Apparel's products at all, but Scott is their primary graphic designer. So I would say as a freelancer, he has other clients, but probably he's best known for doing the design work with Erie Apparel. And so from a faculty perspective, we're kind of the cliche three-headed monster. And then we work with several other faculty volunteers. Cass Reese teaches in the art department with Scott. She also is a formally trained web designer. And one of the interesting things that we'll talk about here in the presentation, more than the other Beehives, we do a lot of work not only with students, but through existing courses. And so Cass teaches a course called Design Practicum. Scott sits in on that course to assist her and to be the liaison to Chris and to me for the Beehive component of it. But our art faculty has always, through that course, they've always wanted their students to work directly with clients. But I think now that we've brought them into the Beehive, obviously we get them, as I like to say, a lot sexier clients. You know, before they were doing a lot of work on campus for groups and organizations, and now we have those students doing work for, businesses, major nonprofits, all of the clients that we work with. And we have a couple of colleagues, another colleague who assists us with some audio production, but he's kind of our voice. He does the intros to our podcast, and He does some voiceover work for us, Ron Raven, and another faculty member, Jim Wertz, who has done some video work for us in the past. But that's all on a volunteer basis, arranged as can do. We're the three who are kind of always committed to Beehive. Yeah. And in a nutshell, when people ask me about the Beehive, the best way to describe what we do is we basically provide most of the services that are offered by a full-time marketing communication firm, advertising agency, whatever label you want to use. We provide most of those services. And yes, the exclamation mark is on, we do it for free. That's our charge. We're grant funded, and we specifically offer these professional level services to startup businesses, to entrepreneurs, to impactful nonprofits and others for free. And we'll talk here in terms of specifics. These are the things that if you were paying thousands of dollars to an agency, these are the range of services you could expect to get. Logo development, graphic design, we extend that graphic design out into branding materials. If you work with Scott in the design practicum class, they'll build you, they'll work with existing materials and refresh them, or they'll build you a logo from the ground up, and they'll extend it to things like business cards and letterheads and flyers or a pamphlet or brochure. As I already mentioned, Chris consults directly with businesses on how to best use social media platforms to promote their businesses. He does a lot of work in Facebook, a lot of work in Instagram, some in Twitter. I just know that Chris, for most of the businesses we work with, I know I'm not a social media person, but these guys have taught me stuff along the way. Chris doesn't find Twitter as essential to most business startups, but those are the major platforms that he works with clients on to make sure they're using them to their maximum potential. Chris's expertise extends into digital marketing. He's very net savvy beyond social media. He's not a formal graphic designer like Scott or Cass, but he knows enough about design and he's able to apply it to digital marketing. I primarily do the traditional media relations. If we're trying to work with a client and get them traditional news coverage, get them coverage on Erie News Now, Meadville Tribune, Corey Journal, Erie Times News. We do a lot of traditional media relations work. And I mentioned Chris also has a lot of very good expertise in podcasting. He actually, at the national level, has worked as a producer for a division of Atlantic Records. He's very into music. But more than being into it, I mean, he's gained a lot of very useful experience at that national level. And as I said, we do our own podcast. It's called Buzz Generated. But Chris also works with other clients to help them see how they can use podcasting as a promotional tool. Why would you want to work with us? Well, we all know people like free. And we don't run from that. We understand that part of our popularity based from the fact that we don't charge people for work that most others would charge them thousands of dollars for. But our work has, over a 3-year period, we won 3 Niagara Awards. The Niagara Awards are an annual competition sponsored by the Northwest Pennsylvania chapter of the Public Relations Society of America. And now granted, because that kind of affirmation is important to us, we enter that competition a lot, but to have won 16 awards over a 3-year period, when you consider our competition are all professional, they're either agencies or they're public relations, graphic design, social media professionals at places like Erie Insurance and others, and we're producing work at that level of work, us working primarily with students. So that's something we do brag about a little bit, because we tell the students when we work with them, you have to understand that the work we produce needs to meet professional standards. And I think that's pretty much external validation that it does. And we work with a lot of different types of clients. We always keep entrepreneurs and small businesses. They're always going to be the majority of our clients because that's the spirit of the Northwest PA Innovation Beehive Network. And I think you probably know, if you've come to more of these, that network is a partnership between Gannon and Mercyhurst and Penn State Barron and the library and us. And we do the creative piece. They each handle other specialized pieces. And probably more so than them, we're a little bolder about venturing out from just working with small businesses. We do work for major economic development groups. We also do some work for impactful nonprofits. We're going to show you that. One Leg Up, Gone Local, Tandoori Hut and Fish Gods, and we're going to show you some examples of that here right now. I'll tell you a little bit about these clients, and then I'm going to have Chris and Scott chime in here. And then when we get to the end, we're just going to have a conversation, and we're going to take questions. And I'm going to do less of that talking, and these guys are going to do a lot more talking there because they're really the content experts. But these are two of the more unique clients. Tandoori Hut was actually an Indian restaurant that's owned by a young female immigrant named Dharma Gurung. And part of their story, I don't know if you followed, but the EDDC in here, they've redeveloped the North Park Row area of downtown area. They've done some fabulous things with it, but Tandoori Hut had to vacate their North Park Row property to make way for that. And so they really were facing a unique challenge. And they basically started over just off of West 26th. And so that was part of the reason we took them on as a client. And then Fish Gods is also a unique client because they're really the only business we've taken on where the two business owners were Edinboro students. They're now Edinboro alums, but they were students when they first came to us, and they started their own company that advocates cleaning up freshwater streams and lakes. And their first product was a really cool vinyl mesh bag that's designed for outdoor lovers or fishermen, as they both are, to collect waste from waters. So, there anything you two guys would like to add about these two as clients? For Tandoori?
Yeah, I mean, the process that we go through is, in practical, is our students break up into teams and they're assigned a client or two per semester. And they work on these directly with the client. They produce the work from start to finish. They go through the feedback process. Usually revolves around a logo development first, and then subsequent print collateral, sometimes a website if time allows, but we have to work within the constraints of the semester time period. Yeah, these two projects were actually pretty fun to work on, and the students were really engaged.
I guess I would just add for Tandoori Hut in particular, I think that's just a good example of how, our two sides of the Beehive can collaborate at times and kind of, again, offer those full services that a marketing agency would offer. So at the same time that they were working on the logo, I was meeting with the business owner a few times throughout the semester and just providing some social media consulting at her place of business. So they would be working on the logo. I'd go up there to talk with her about social media concepts. And at that same time, I'd also make sure that everything was going good between her and the students and, making those links. I believe this semester we're working with her again because we have some photography students that have come into the design practical fold. And so they're going to go up and take some pictures of her food, which was something that she needed for her website and just for general promotional purposes. So, you tell us that you have a food delivery business. That's probably one of the things we would ask about, like, what is your food photography? What kind of media library do you currently have? Because I notice in our work that a lot of the small businesses we encounter could always use just more photos, more, if they have branding materials, sometimes it's just the logo and they have nothing else. So that, you know, sometimes it's work like that where we're picking up threads that haven't been fully followed through on and just helping them kind of complete their media library, I suppose, if that makes sense.
Sure. And these are also some of the businesses we mentioned on the far side here. I'll just walk through here. This is the logo for One Leg Up, which is a Lake Erie Rubber and Manufacturing, is owned by a young owner named John Meehan, and he wanted to branch out into rubber-based pet toys. And so we did a lot of the initial design work for that. Gone Local is kind of at least a two-time client of ours. It's owned by Kristen Santiago. She also does business consulting, where she basically curates Erie-based products and helps sell them primarily through the website. And then I think definitely one of, even though it was very local to us, Scott and I want to talk about this more because he's the expert, but I just think from a design perspective, people just seem to rave about this new logo that we came up for Lakeside Bagel. And Lakeside Bagel, they aren't a new business, but they were celebrating an anniversary and they were also relocated after being a long time at one location. It wasn't far, it was just down the road, but you know what that's like with a business when you're changing your identity. And without a doubt, I think the design work that Scott and Cass and the design practicum class did with that logo was extremely well received. Would you agree with that, Scott? We also work with major economic development organizations. This is design work we did for ECED, which is a volunteer group of businesses in the Edinboro area, Southern Erie County. We also did one of our most nightmarish protracted projects for them. The design was kind of a side, but what they really wanted was a travel website. And we took that on somewhat reluctantly. It started as being the design practicum class, but Chris was intensely involved in it with a team of students. I mean, it started with us sending students to every business in Edinboro and trying to take down basic information and get photographs and that sort of thing. It was a massive undertaking. We've also done work here. We know Chuck very well. We've done work for Impact Corey, as you know. We've also done work for Brody and Corey Higher Ed. In fact, they're still our most current podcast. They're our most current podcast episode. I was able to interview them together, and Scott really did a lot of the work we take on things multifaceted. We do, unlike the other Beehives, we do a lot of work through existing courses, but we always have to be prepared to juggle. So now that we have Chris full time, he'll do work one-on-one for clients. He'll work with students. If we're around in the summer and we have a design client, I'll just say, hey, Scott, can you bang this out? And in those situations, Scott will. So we don't approach clients or work in any one way. We come at it, and that's a good example because the Corey Higher Ed, that logo and branding, that was really pretty much kind of a solo effort there. The Erie Regional Chamber and Growth Partnership, we're proud to say they sponsor our Buzz Generating podcast. They do very few sponsorships, but they believed in the Beehive concept enough and what we're doing that they actually have sponsored our first 2 seasons, and we did work for the Economic Progress Alliance of Crawford County back when they were the temporary management group for Conneaut Lake Park. Now, I know Conneaut Lake Park is getting a lot of somewhat negative attention now. The Economic Progress Alliance's goal was to find a private buyer. They did, but now the private buyer is doing a lot of renovation, tearing down a lot of venerable rides to the local community, but we really, it really was a successful project, and we really, the design group, they redesigned their mascot, did some vintage posters. We ran, Chris and a team of students ran their social media for an entire summer season. It was, despite the negative headlines you see about Conneaut Lake Park, that was a really successful project. Anything you guys want to chime in about any of this work?
No, I mean, the website for the ECD was quite a challenge. A fairly massive website with multiple pages, but I think the students and the help of Chris really put out something. Normally, we wouldn't take on a project of that size, but I mean, that was a special case where it's still over from the semester in the summer too. Yeah.
At least a year and a half, at least.
150 businesses, all pictures, catalog.
Could receive quite a lot of.
I guess for anybody watching, and for obviously the individuals in the room, the reason we don't take on too many website projects is because, I think at the beginning, they always start out as a very simple concept, and then they kind of grow and grow, and the needs of the client grow quite quickly sometimes. And then it becomes a project that, again, you don't really want it to spill from one semester to the next. Different students come in and take a class, and it can be a little bit messy. So we will do website projects. It's just we really have to pick and choose. So if one of you is looking for that, it does become a longer conversation, I suppose.
And I'll add to their comments, from a client management perspective, we shouldn't have taken ECED on as a client, because the project really ate up our limited resources for an extended period of time. But think of our situation, we were essentially volunteered. This is really a Southern Erie County, Edinboro-based group, and they've heard all these great things about Edinboro's Beehive. It's very difficult to turn down that kind of a client, and it's despite the drain it put on these guys as individuals and some of the students, as Scott said, it was really a client we were in a position we had to take, even though we knew we were gonna have to devote more of our resources than we should have. But as Scott said, it was another grand slam. It ended up as an immensely successful project. This is some more that Scott is taking you to, or Chris is taking you to. This is the Visit Edinboro. This is the travel website. So I'll step back so you can get a good look, and you can see how exhaustive that is. How much work that required, but how great it turned out, and how meaningful it was for those businesses in Edinboro to have this. And they attached their own gift card program to this, that they really wanted to make that a kind of a shared gift card, get this gift certificate thing, and the website really was the vehicle they were able to use to pull that off. We also, I think, much more than our Beehive colleagues, we do work for what I call impactful nonprofits. Yes, we were primarily around to serve entrepreneurs and new businesses, but when huge community-based events or nonprofit organizations come to us and we see the potential to have a major impact, we will take that work. And this was a COVID project, the Erie Blues and Jazz Festival. They were really forced to go remote, not to do a traditional in-person concert, and so they couldn't do their festival the way they typically do, and they turned to us, and I'll turn this over. Chris helped them run their social media during the festival. This is really a great example of Scott's personal great design style. He did the logo and the branding for them. So I'll let these two guys embellish that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the event was online, so there wasn't a whole huge need for anything out there in the community as far as, you know, the festival didn't have to.
No, they were entirely virtual.
So, I mean, this was a case where the design was made primarily for, you know, social media. You know, we had to come up with a few graphics for the actual social media sites, like Instagram, Facebook, but beyond that, they wanted a refreshed look
And a poster
yeah,
with a lot of information.
yeah,
The information kept growing, I
yeah.
think. So,
And a logo that when you took all the information away, made for a really stylish t-shirt.
that's right.
Two other similar community-based nonprofits. Now, similar, they're very different. And Mary Masala is a multicultural summer festival that really one individual, it's kind of, he's the driving force behind it. Kind of culminates with a multicultural parade right on State Street. The practicum students did that design work around his turtle. We did a lot. We really did a full media relations blitz down to the fact that Chris Lantinen was standing on State Street during the parade with his phone on a tripod and basically we videoed the parade to stream it live on Facebook Live. And Presque Isle, obviously, probably one of the most, the most treasured resources of the region. We work with the Presque Isle Partnership, which is an organization that a lot of people aren't aware of all the work they do behind the scenes to support Presque Isle. We started out with a plan to do one sort of work with them for their Discover Presque Isle Summer Festival, and like everything else, it was shut down by COVID. So we delayed, but we stayed in contact, we stayed in touch, and so they came up with their anniversary and also kind of an anti-COVID campaign to get people out to the park to do things 100 times. That's all right. And so I'm just going to say that's the logo. And right now, Chris is showing you a short animated video that was done by the design students in the design practical class under Cass and Scott.
I believe we scripted it too, and a student did the voiceover, so we're gonna have to watch 3 seconds of this ad. I apologize. All right.
This summer, we celebrate Presque Isle State Park's 100th anniversary. 100 years of sunrises, sunsets, outdoor fun, and the protective beauty of northwestern Pennsylvania. To celebrate this milestone, the Presque Isle Partnership is introducing the MyPI 100 Challenge. What is the MyPI 100 Challenge? It's simple. Show Presque Isle some love by donating and pledge to complete 100 activities at the park. These activities could be anything you want, keeping within park rules and regulations, of course. You could pick up 100 pieces of trash, walk 100 miles, find 100 pieces of beach glass, or even take 100 selfies. The only limitations are your own imagination. Your donation goes towards various park improvements such as updating playground areas, increasing visitor access, and other projects that better your Presque Isle experience. Challenge accepted? Head on over to www.discoverpi.com to sign up and donate. Oh, and don't forget to use the hashtag MyPI100 when posting updates on your progress.
Again, of course, a lot of these examples we're showing you were among our Niagara Award winners. This one, I think, was a little outside of the box because, again, we don't do a lot of video sort of pseudo animation work, and that turned out very well. And basically, this is going to wrap up sort of the formal part of our presentation. As I said, you can pick these guys' brains in terms of question and answers, but how do you get involved? If you go to the website and if you click on there, it tells you exactly how to submit an RFP. We sometimes do work from direct referrals, but The best way to get in touch with us is to go onto the website and complete the request for proposal. We ask for some basic information, and then Scott peruses that periodically, and as the RFPs come in, we'll take them off. You can email either me or Chris anytime for more information. Just what kind of a closing note with this to the formal presentation. You know, we do look at the RFPs ongoing, but another difference between us and most of the other beehives, because so much of our work is done through existing courses, for that type of work, it locks us into the 15-week semester schedule. And that doesn't work for every business, and it's not our only approach, as I said, but we do a lot of work. And so sometimes timing is very significant. Like we sat down, you know, we'll start maybe in late November while we're still finishing up our current client works. And from, you know, Thanksgiving into early January or to the middle of January, we'll try to pick our client slate for the upcoming spring semester. And then one of the frustrating things is invariably we'll do that. And, you know, we're trying to do as much work as we can. And sometimes we'll get a really good proposals. We try to leave room to adjust, but sometimes if that RFP comes in after the start of the semester, we almost always have to tell the client, hey, we can't even look at this until summer, or we can't even look at this until fall. And so that's one of the things that I do want to say. Now, for instance, I mean, we're virtually completely booked for the spring semester. We probably won't be able to take on any new client work. And we'll probably start looking at it in May, maybe late April, while we're finishing up the work for the current clients to see what we can do over the summer without students, and then what clients we can work with when the fall semester starts at the end of August.
Yeah, and obviously there's a video here that shows you how to submit an RFP. If you provide me your emails, I'll send you this presentation before we leave tonight, so that you can have this. This is just a Google Slides, so I'll just send you the link, and then you can share this with anybody. It has, again, how to submit the RFP. It has, you know, the links to the My PI 100 video. It's got all the stuff we talked about tonight, and our website is on the first slide. So NWPA.beehive.com. So again, just give me your email, and that way you'll have the presentation, you know, pass along or whatever. I'll give it to Brody too. I'm sure he'll share it on all channels. So, I don't think anything.
Any parting shots, Scott, before we open up for questions here? Any questions?
Oh, I have so many. I feel like I said that last time, didn't I? Okay, so I need to get in because I'm like rebranding all my things right now, of course. But I'm doing like a garden, and I'm canning and like making all my own spices, and I need a logo to go on all my new canning.
We do packaging too.
Yeah, see?
That packaging actually is also in Scott's personal wheelhouse.
So we do way more than just logo development. We do packaging, we do motion design.
The Prescott 100, an example of
Yeah.
the motion design.
We do apparel design, t-shirts. But yeah, we would love to.
Should we say like good, I guess, good months to submit an RFP? I suppose months not to submit an RFP would be like February to May, right? Because we're in the middle of our semester, so as long as you have them in before, say, for the fall, so you're planning to do it in the fall, as long as you have it in before August, then you're gonna be in the consideration, right? But you start after the semester.
Maybe even late spring. You know, we can't take on nearly as many clients in the summer because it's basically us minus the students. But again, with Scott's expertise, your work could qualify as a summer client, you know, might be something we could deal with that way.
Yeah, we got roughly what, June, July, August, before the students come back, so there's quite a bit of time in the summer.
What level are the students? Are they in a junior year and up, or are
They are at least juniors and up, so it's kind of first come, first served, so we kind of pick and choose the best students that we have. And it's mainly seniors, and they are all extremely talented. I mean, they're doing very professional work. And they're all, you know, they've been around the block, so they know how to speak to clients. They're not, you know, fumbling over their words, you know, so.
I teach a PR management class that does some campaigns. These guys often work individually to support it, but that's an upper level undergraduate class, and there are actually a handful of graduate students in there. So, and I do a little bit of client works, writing based, maybe blog style feature stories through a writing for PR class that I take. But yes, we don't even attempt to do this with introductory courses. This is beyond introductory coursework. These are for upper level specialized, kind of like Scott says, really in the design practical case. They're almost they're the all-stars. They're the students that are up for it. They get a great experience from it, but they also have the capability to deliver the goods, which is obviously essential when you're doing client work. I have an introductory public relations class that doesn't do Beehive work, but I'll have them in a group. I'll have them design a similar public relations campaign, and I just mentioned that because it makes me laugh. In the fall semester, my intro course, one of the students was from Corey, and their campaign was on the library bar and grill, which I think is right across the street from here, which I chuckled or that way when I pulled in. But again, that's purely an academic with an introductory course where, you know, they're not going to be doing client work with us.
And we can do, I mean, we can do one-on-one. We can talk with you one-on-one if you have more questions, obviously, if you, not something you want to ask them if you're studying or whatever.
Right. Great.
So we'll stick around.
And one of the new things we started with Chris speaking one-on-one, Chris does do some sign up. He has, since he's been with us full time, he does do some one-on-one social media consulting. The same thing for if you're a small business owner or not, you don't really want to do a group seminar, you're not comfortable, it is possible to get an appointment with Chris. And you know, he may not be able to do extensive work, but he can get you started, help you showing you things you could be doing better and things that would help you a little more. So yeah.
I think people just sometimes just want to talk about social media, and I think that's one way it's benefited people that have stopped by. It's just not that they don't know what they're doing, but they just want to kind of chat through ideas and things like that. So